it would be great if you can introduce yourself and also kind of share like what weather company does.
Of course, would love to. Hi, I'm Rohit Agarwal. I'm the CEO of the Weather Company. We are more commonly known for the Weather Channel. Maybe I can ask all of you a question. How many of you check the weather? All right, almost everybody. Those who don't check the weather, I admire you. Um, for those of you that check the weather, how many of you use the Weather Channel app to check the weather? That's a little bit disappointing. For those of you that did raise your hand, how many of you are certain you're actually using the Weather Channel app and not that really bad app that's on your phone? Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. So anyway, we obviously run and manage the Weather Channel app. We also have brands like Weather Underground and Storm Radar. And then we also happen to have a very large enterprise business. We help manage most of the flights from point A to point B in the US. We have a very large media broadcasting business. We also actually support the government across some new products that we've begun to offer. And then ultimately, we have over 2,000 enterprise customers across a variety of industries like agriculture, automotive, and energy.
I think for one thing for me about the Weather Channel app is I really look forward to the daily summary that I get in the morning.
Great.
So that just kind of helps me plan the day. Um, yeah, and to kind of like maybe we'll start with a tricky question at a lighter note. Like, what is the best part of being a CEO?
Good question. I'm not sure I know the answer to that one yet. I'm still trying to figure it out. Um, you know, uh, I was lucky enough to have kids, and I have two kids. And I thought that the best reason to have kids was because I could tell them what to do. And 16 and 14 years later, that's not really how it works. They tell me what to do. So, I kind of like weirdly thought that by becoming a CEO, like the best part of the job was I could tell everybody what to do. No one could really tell me what to do. And that's not really how it works. There's two people actually in the audience who tell me what to do all day. And I think that ultimately, sort of not being funny but serious, I think the joy of our jobs is that you get to work with amazing people
Yep.
who tell you what to do every day. And if you listen to them correctly, then you can deliver really amazing products that solve your customers' problems. And there's an incredible joy that comes with being able to solve your customers' problems by leveraging your talent, your employees, and their ideas and
Yep.
efforts.
Yep. Completely agree. I think let's start with the summit theme, adapt or die. And it's very I mean, it's very relevant in the current era of AI with so much change that's happening in terms of the technology and also like how all of us should adapt, right? So how are you as the CEO adapting the company? What are the kind of changes that you're making within your product and maybe start with product and engineering organizations and also in your customer facing products?
Yeah, it's an awesome question. Ultimately, the industry in which many of us are probably in the industry which we are in specifically, is driven by lots of change. So, as a digital business, as a digital organization, we are consistently finding new competitors enter the market. We're finding new partners that we ought to be working with in the market. Our business is undergoing constant change. The category that we're in, weather and climate, as you can imagine, is becoming more interesting, more complicated, more challenging for individuals and businesses every day. So we are naturally in a category that is significantly changing, becoming more severe in many instances. And ultimately, when you take those two forces together, which is we're in a category that's more relevant to our lives every day,
Yeah.
and we are in an environment and a business that is changing so rapidly, ultimately at the intersection of those two efforts is the ability to know your customers better. And that's why we're really excited to be here today, because we want to work with partners and ecosystems that help us understand our customers more intimately, much more closely, so that we can super serve them. And ultimately, that's the kind of culture that we're trying to create inside of the weather company, which is a customer centricity, one where you're adapting to your customers and their needs. And if you can do that well, then you can be very, very resilient.
And I think it would be good for like, could you share like a couple of maybe examples of initiatives, maybe around within marketing and outside marketing that some of the changes that that your teams are making with leveraging the AI.
Sure. I think ultimately one of the things that Ravi and I talk quite a bit about is next best action. And ultimately, the more that we can know about our customers, ultimately, the more that we can anticipate what their next best action or next biggest need is, and then how can we super serve that. So for us, ultimately, we're trying to use tools and capabilities to deliver messages to our customers at the right moment, in the right way, via the right channel, in order to super serve them. We're using um, a lot of different tools and capabilities like AI in order to create adaptation and change inside of the organization. We're actually starting to think about our APIs. We get about 6 trillion calls to our APIs per month. It's one of the largest in the internet. And ultimately, if we can put a semantic layer on top of our APIs, and then we can actually agentify that semantic layer, imagine that any of you can be asking any possible question you want, and we will be able to intelligently think through how to deliver you that answer in the right format, across the right channel, at the right time to help you solve your problems individually or the problems for your companies. So we're also thinking about how we use AI and Gen AI in order to create content that actually appeals to each one of you in new and novel ways. So there's a lot of different aspects to our business that can be changed.
And also just to kind of now looking internally in terms of like how like in terms of uh, teams adapting, right? I mean, that's obviously the harder part in terms of how do you I mean, there are always sometimes teams who basically kind of are resistant, or so there are teams who want to kind of move fast. Like how are you kind of driving that change in terms of like teams leveraging all the AI to change the way they work?
Yeah, transformation is hard.
Yep.
Change, human change is the hardest. A lot of times the change is a function of emotion. Oftentimes that change is a function of what is comfortable. I think one of the philosophies that we've really tried to embed into our organization is, especially in the context of change in AI, which is almost an acceleration of digitization and digital change, is that ultimately what our organization has, which is very unique, is expertise. And we have expertise that has been built up over 40 plus years of excellence in our efforts around science, around customer engagement and interaction, around storytelling. And so ultimately, what we try to impart on our staff is AI is not going to take away jobs. AI with experts equals superhumans, and our ability to make change and to solve people's problems will be increased because we have these amazing tools that supplement and augment our expertise in new and novel ways. So what we can accomplish is 10x what we used to be able to accomplish. And I think that that has started slowly to begin to become the storyline inside the company, and I think that as we start to prove that to ourselves, that will really accelerate. But I think that's like the real opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, we already saw a couple of key categories like customer support or coding agents. Like with AI, what do you see also as some of the biggest opportunities and also biggest risks right now?
Yeah, well, every
Eh,
every opportunity comes with an equal and opposite risk, right? Every
Yeah.
superpower has kryptonite. So I mean, ultimately, what we see is this opportunity for AI to improve and enable the entire organizational stack. The way we break it down is that AI has a strategic component, let's call that growth, and it has an efficiency component, right? Which some will sort of articulate as cost cutting, but really it's about how do you become more efficient as a business? And that is from everywhere to customer support. We have 350 million consumer relationships that we manage every month. To manage that with a set of customer support agents is very difficult
Yep.
and broadly unsustainable when you're an ad-supported business like we are. But if you can use the expertise of our customer support agents who've built that expertise over 20 years, and you combine it with modern tools, all of a sudden you can super serve 350 million people in a completely different and in a completely personalized way. At the same time, we talked about how agent AIs on top of our APIs can actually open up an opportunity for us to go from 350 million global relationships to a billion global relationships, just because we are better positioned and better able to answer the questions that all of you have or might ask. And then at the same time, our ability to create content in new and interesting ways actually allows us to be able to tell stories, and the right story, not only for users in particular markets where we have had significant strength, but where we can start to deliver those messages to new users in new markets in new ways, something that today might be difficult for us to scale.
I think now let's talk about like one of the key problems all the marketers face in terms of every category, every big category feels like crowded. And how do you think about um, like cutting through all the noise that's out there and really kind of stand out and build strong customer relationships? And yeah, any thoughts?
Yeah, so I've either been lucky or unlucky to been in a lot of commoditized businesses. I've been in news, I've been in music, and now I'm in weather. And I think those are ultimately three categories that I'm sure all of you would say you use multiple companies in order to get your information, in order to get answers to your questions. I think ultimately what separates the successful from the unsuccessful companies in those kinds of industries and others is ultimately how well do you know your customer? How well do you articulate what your promise is to that customer? Like, for example, in the weather space and the weather company, our promise to you is, although forecasting is inherently complicated, our goal and our efforts are to have the world's best scientists deliver to you the most accurate forecast, and we're 4 times more accurate than our next closest competitor. So we have to deliver on that promise to you every single day. We have to know who you are, what your implicit and explicit interests are, and then we have to be able to super serve your needs before you even know them. And if we do that really well, it doesn't matter how commoditized our market is, it doesn't matter who our competitors are. In fact, we will hopefully have earned the right to best serve you. That then actually gives us the opportunity to bring in other partners in an ecosystem, whether it's a travel partner or a health partner or a pets partner, so that as you give us more information about what it is that you're trying to solve, we are able, given the promise that we have offered and the promise that hopefully we are delivering, working with additional partners so we can continue to super serve you in new and better ways. And ultimately, I think that's the opportunity. And in order to do that, not only do you have to know who your customers are, you have to have the right kinds of partners and tools to be able to develop those relationships in more meaningful ways.
So basically thinking from the first principles in terms of like what your brand stands for and really living up to the promise.
That's right.
Um, and one question specific to weather companies, like generally the weather companies often think of in terms of like high stakes scenarios like hurricanes, but how do you make it a part of the everyday's lives? And how do you and the team think about that?
Very good question. So I would say we are having an unseasonably sunny set of months, right? Would everyone agree? There've been fewer hurricanes, let's say, for example. Um, Sometimes I jokingly say to our teams, like, I feel like sometimes we were a hurricane company, right? That's what it kind of feels like sometimes. Like we are at our best, like when there's a hurricane, and our opportunity is to inform citizens and save lives. But I think the opportunity is we have to be an everyday company, right? Because I'm assuming that those of you who raised your hand because you check the weather, I'm still trying to get my head around those who don't check the weather. Um, I assume that you're checking the weather every day. And that's because you have needs and problems every day. Ultimately, our opportunity is to be able to super serve every single day. And when it is in a moment of severe weather and either your personal security or your home and family are in danger, we want to be there to serve you in the best possible way. But when you are actually thinking about on a Saturday morning taking your child to a soccer game and you want to make sure that it's not going to be raining, or if it is raining, what you need to be wearing, then we want to be able to serve that condition. And if you have a pet and you live in the South and the cement gets super hot, we want to be able to let you know that, hey, now's the right time to take your dog for a walk so that she or he does not burn its paws, right? And at the same time, when you think about those conditions and you apply them even into a enterprise context, enterprises themselves are also thinking about weather patterns and weather conditions and how it affects their business. So it can be, how do I, as a real estate company, protect my assets because a disproportionate number of my assets are in a zone that has increasingly severe weather? But it could also be a beauty company, right, that is thinking about, what are my sales going to look like because there's an unseasonably long stretch of sun and I sell sunscreen or sun protection. And so I'm going to see in certain markets that my sales volumes are going to increase rapidly. And so there's a wide range of possibilities for us to think about how to super serve our customers in all kinds of weather, sometimes in very extreme, meaningful ways, and sometimes in very fun entertainment sort of ways.
So you gave a lot of use cases for people in the room to integrate with weather
Yeah,
APIs.
I'm trying to convince all of you to stop using that silly app on your phone and convert over to.
The last question from my end would be like, we have a lot of marketing and product leaders in the audience today. So what advice would you give to them in terms of transforming in the AI era?
I think number one, I actually wouldn't be focused on AI. I'd be focused on your customers and their problems. That's first and foremost. The better you understand your customer and their problems, the better position you will be in order to solve them. And then I think that AI is just another set of tools. AI is another set of tools that helps you solve your customers' problems. And ultimately, what you're going to find, or at least what we have found, and I hope that you all find this as well, you will find the right way to apply AI either directly into your own organization in order to solve some of those problems. You'll work with partners that are bringing modern AI solutions to helping you solve some of those problems. And in time, you'll find partners who will also help you think through what are the right ways to use advanced tools and capabilities to solve those problems.
Yep, fantastic. And we're on time. So yeah, with that, thank you, Rohit, for taking your time and then
Thank you.
very insightful.
Appreciate it.